Crazy stuff, but here's the problem. Nobody provided a single shred of evidence. I've reached out to multiple WNBA players involved in these allegations, have not got a response from any of them. Are there police reports? Is there any digital footprint? Where is the evidence that these people are citing that Caitlin Clark fans are just horrific, evil bigots? The reality is, we all know the answer to that question. The evidence does not exist because if you like Caitlin
Clark supporters are up in arms, and their frustration is now being aimed squarely at the WNBA. A recent statement from the league has triggered intense backlash, as fans believe it reveals deeper issues within the organization. Many are calling this a wake-up call the league won't soon forget. Since her arrival, Clark has brought a whole new energy to the WNBA. Her performances have not only energized the Indiana Fever, but have also drawn in a wave of new fans who are passionate and loyal. She's become one of the league's most talked-about stars in record time, but that wave of enthusiasm has hit a breaking point. A recent playoff showdown against the Connecticut Sun has sparked major controversy, leaving many questioning the league's response and actions. The incident has pushed fans to speak out louder than ever before. Supporters argue that Clark isn't being treated with the fairness or respect she deserves, especially considering her impact on the sport's visibility and popularity. They feel the league has missed a chance to support one of its biggest rising stars in a critical moment. As tensions rise, the WNBA now faces growing pressure to respond. Fans are watching closely to see whether the league will make changes or risk losing the trust of the new audience Clark helped bring in. The game against the Connecticut Sun was intense right from the tip-off. As usual, all eyes were on Caitlin Clark. Her explosive play style and fierce determination have made her a standout figure, drawing both admiration and criticism. That spotlight often means she's under constant pressure, and this matchup proved to be no exception. Although the Fever came up short on the scoreboard, the post-game fallout quickly overshadowed the result. One of the major flashpoints came when Clark appeared to have a confrontation with a courtside spectator. Cameras caught the moment as she directed the referee's attention toward the fan, who was then escorted out. The nature of the exchange wasn't made public, but clips of the incident flooded social media, sparking debates and theories. Many commended Clark for keeping her cool under pressure, but the situation didn't end there. Tensions kept rising as the game progressed, especially with the physicality on the floor. Clark found herself at the center of multiple aggressive plays, and many of her supporters felt the referees weren't doing enough to maintain fairness. One uncalled foul, in particular, had fans fuming, with many accusing the officials of allowing excessive contact against her without consequences. This wasn't an isolated frustration. Fans have been vocal all season about what they perceive as a lack of protection for Clark. The playoff game only amplified their concerns. Social media exploded in the aftermath, with the hashtag #ProtectCaitlin trending as fans demanded the league step in and provide better oversight. They called for consistency in officiating and more accountability from those responsible for ensuring player safety. What added even more tension to the situation was the WNBA's official response. The league issued a post-game statement denouncing inappropriate, threatening, and hateful behavior aimed at players, teams, and league personnel. While many saw this as a necessary step toward curbing toxic fan behavior, Clark's supporters felt it missed the real issue. To them, it seemed like the league was sidestepping the conversation about how Clark is being treated during games. That Clark's fan base wasn't alone in reacting strongly. WNBA legend Sheryl Swoopes also entered the conversation, but her remarks stirred even more division. Swoopes, who has previously cast doubt on some of Clark's achievements, again criticized her playoff performance. Her comments were viewed by many of Clark's supporters as dismissive and part of a broader resistance within the league to embrace the energy and popularity that Clark brings. The result has been a growing sense of disconnect. A visible rift is forming between the long-established figures in women's basketball and the new wave of fans that Clark has brought to the game. For many, Swoopes' remarks served as a symbol of how the WNBA has yet to fully welcome this fresh chapter of its evolution. To many of Caitlin Clark's fans, the treatment she's received, both from officials on the court and commentary off it, has started to feel personal. The widening gap between her growing support base and the WNBA's handling of her situation has become increasingly difficult to ignore. It was clear to many observers that the league needed to step in, and address the growing unrest. But the situation took an unexpected turn when one of Clark's own teammates, NaLyssa Smith, made headlines. After the game, Smith shared on social media that her girlfriend, Connecticut Sun player Dejounte Carrington, had allegedly received death threats from fans in the wake of the Suns' win over the Fever. According to Smith, some of the threats had become so serious that they involved people following Carrington. These claims introduced another layer of complication to an already tense situation. While no form of harassment or threats should ever be excused, the lack of concrete evidence supporting the accusations led some fans to question the timing and intention behind the post. Smith's tweet came just hours after the WNBA issued its broad condemnation of inappropriate fan behavior, and many speculated it was meant to shift focus away from the league's officiating issues. The relationship between Smith and Carrington didn't go unnoticed, either. Earlier in the season, Carrington had taken to social media to post what many interpreted as a jab at Clark, suggesting that Smith needed to be freed from her team. That remark rubbed a lot of Clark supporters the wrong way, reinforcing their belief that Clark was being subtly targeted not just by opponents, but from within the league's inner circles. Adding to the tension, Smith's apparent support of Carrington over her own teammates raised eyebrows. Many questioned whether personal loyalties were interfering with team unity. Her online activity, which seemed to align more with Carrington than her Fever squad, was seen by some as unprofessional and disloyal, fueling further outrage among fans who felt that Clark wasn't being defended even within her own locker room. The WNBA, caught in the middle of all this, found itself in an unenviable spot. On one hand, it had to confront serious issues around toxic fan behavior, including claims of racism and threats. On the other, it couldn't afford to ignore the mounting frustration from Clark's fans, who felt the league had consistently failed to protect its breakout star on the court. Finding the right balance between addressing safety and acknowledging legitimate concerns about fairness and officiating was proving difficult. While the league's public statement may have aimed to calm the storm, it ultimately did little to satisfy either side. For Clark's supporters, the message felt too vague. It didn't speak directly to what they believed was the root problem, an ongoing trend of biased officiating that had hindered Clark's ability to shine at her full potential. To them, the controversy was about more than just physical play. It was about a broader pattern of neglect. They pointed to a string of games throughout the season where Clark was subjected to hard contact without adequate calls from officials. For her fan base, the playoff game was simply the breaking point, another incident in a long list of what they saw as a failure by the league to safeguard one of its most valuable players. To many, the WNBA's emphasis on addressing fan behavior seemed like a distraction tactic. Rather than confront the controversy around officiating directly, the league had pivoted the conversation to something else entirely. And Clark's fans weren't buying it. This outrage wasn't limited to passionate supporters on social media. High-profile voices in sports media, respected journalists, analysts, and commentators began to weigh in as well. Their collective take was clear. The WNBA was mishandling a pivotal moment for both its brand and its breakout star.